This diagram illustrates the traditional baseline for organizational leadership, a single node firing a one-way vector line toward a static target. Here, mechanics are fixed. The leader dictates, while the subordinate conforms to a predetermined shape. Energy flows in one direction. This setup relies on environmental stability. However, modern organizations operate in a VUCA landscape, defined by volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. In these conditions, top-down predictability is mathematically impossible. When rigid linear structures encounter these unpredictable and extreme pressures, they simply lack the flexibility to adapt. They shatter. The Newtonian leadership model is becoming obsolete. Navigating the macroquantum era requires a transition toward multi-directional entanglement. Attempting to maintain top-down control in a chaotic environment limits growth and increases the likelihood of systemic collapse. The G4DSC ecosystem, or Gamified Four-Dimension Situational Coaching, serves as the replacement architecture for these failing linear systems. This diagram shows the foundational principle of G4DSC. The distinct labels for coach and coachee dissolve, replaced by continuous, oscillating wave patterns that link the two entities. This creates a mutual observer-observed dynamic. As the second node expands, a feedback wave travels back, shifting the frequency and geometry of the first node. Each entity alters the state of the other. When the coachee achieves a breakthrough, that energy feeds back into the system. The coach then adjusts their foundational theories to incorporate the new data. Leadership in this framework is an active, multi-directional feedback loop. It is a shared evolution of both parties involved. This entanglement scales horizontally across the entire organization. This is the social mirroring field, a decentralized grid connecting every member of an ecosystem through an unseen infrastructure of influence. When one individual reaches a peak frequency of performance, an energy maxima, they create a flare within the grid. This triggers a catalyst effect. Distant, non-adjacent nodes across the grid instantly illuminate in synchronized response, activating latent potential without direct instruction. This systemic reflection moves faster than traditional hierarchical communication, which requires information to travel through a vertical chain of command. In a macro-quantum organization, high performance spreads through systemic reflection, bypassing formal reporting lines. How does the diffuse energy of the social mirroring field translate into concrete results? The IEE spiral is the mechanism that achieves this. It pulls the diffuse wave energy of the field into a tightening, high-velocity vortex. The first step is immersing. The individual is submerged into the high-frequency field, gathering the disparate particles of potential. Second is embedding. As particles move down the funnel, they link into geometric chains, turning the energetic state into repeatable behavioral patterns. Finally, in the embodying phase, the wave collapses into physical reality. The vortex expels a solid, densely packed structure. Abstract potential is only useful once it is systematically collapsed into physical output. The velocity of the IEE spiral increases systemic stress. Managing this energy requires specific physiological adaptations. This schematic highlights the FCP axis, the fascia, the corpus callosum, and the pineal gland. These components form a biological network that manages the flow of signals and stress throughout the body. Developing this network supports LM, or lifelong energy mastery. This is the physiological capacity to sustain high-frequency performance without triggering a burnout response. Cognitive shifts in leadership are only sustainable when supported by these physiological adaptations. Once a new reality is embodied, the system faces a risk. The new success can quickly become a static, rigid baseline. To prevent this, the system uses the CSPSM, the Consistent Sequential Peak Surpassing Mechanism. Here, the solid structure strikes a horizontal ceiling barrier. The CSPSM forces the structure to shatter that ceiling. As it moves upward, the broken barrier instantly reforms as a new floor beneath it. This process repeats, creating a continuous upward sequence that prevents any resting state. Macroquantum evolution is a continuous loop of surpassing previous limitations. These mechanics are visible in the Trio Starshift case study. This table maps 3 distinct archetypal nodes, Dr. Viet as the source, Lou Arnchuk as the field, and Nguyen-Kak-Hun as the phenomenon. As the source algorithm, Dr. Viet's theories are forced to evolve based on the physical outputs generated by the rest of the system. Liu On-Chik provides the strategic infrastructure, the field, while the ecosystem's energy drives his own strategic adaptation. Nguyen-Kak-Hun is the phenomenon. He collapses the theory and strategy into physical reality, securing multiple Guinness World Records. Hung's physical achievements act as the social mirror, providing the empirical proof of human capacity that feeds back to Viet and Chik. These black swan anomalies occur when theory, strategy, and execution are perfectly entangled. This is the G4-DSC architecture in full operation. Horizontal networks feed potential into vertical vortices, which output ascending structures. This active engine stands in contrast to the broken straight arrow of the Newtonian model. One-way control is no longer a viable mechanic. Leadership in this era is decoupled from administrative command or top-down control. Modern leadership is defined by entanglement. It is the process where the leader and the led merge into a singular, accelerating flow. By shifting to a multi-directional ecosystem, organizations transition from passive observation to an active state where every breakthrough triggers the next sequence of growth.